You're listening to the Ordinary Joe's podcast with Joe D and Eric B. Ordinary Joe's podcast.
All right, another episode of the podcast. And today we're finishing out the last 3 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Dun, dun, dun. I had my Darth Vader sound effect, but it's too much. I'll just do the oh, you got to have the inhaler. All right, so we're going to finish off the last 3 episodes. And it's funny because if you look on Disney Plus, they're not even named. Like, you know how Disney Plus, there's usually a name for it, right? Like episode 1, you know, whatever. This is just part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
I'm looking at it right now. It's kind of weird because usually I'm used to seeing like, you know, Enchanted or something, right?
Yeah, like a clue to what you might be seeing or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. All right, Joe, let's go get this started. I am Eric B.
And I'm Joe, and we are the Ordinary Joes.
Joe dropped the D. Everyone's like, hey, man,
yes.
What happened to the D? I was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something with the D that Joe doesn't want to talk about.
I was tired of people thinking my name was Jody. I think it highlights the ridiculousness of us being called the Ordinary Joes, and your name's Eric.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. One of my doctors has finally started watching the show. I'm going to go off topic a little bit. He's like, hey, can I just ask, why is it called the Ordinary Joes when you're Eric? I'm like, well, you know, if guys just does the same thing over and over again, no matter if their name is Peter, Paul, or, you know, Joe, they're just considered, hey, that's just an Ordinary Joe thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we are. We're the Ordinary Joes. We do ordinary things. We do regular things.
Regular stuff. You're not going to get a geeky deep dive into Star Wars because we don't know that stuff.
You're not going to be like, in this episode, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan decides they're going to walk the... No, yeah, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about what Darth Vader's thought is on Roe versus Wade because, you know, we're not going to do anything like that. This is where 2 ordinary guys just talks about ordinary things and gives what we think our feedback is to you guys. That's all it is.
All right. Yeah. Just like what are you guys? We're not experts. We just give our opinion.
Yes. Except for, and I ask your expertise on why my skin is always rashy. Then I will listen to you. Oh man, this has been a crazy week for me. I was doing this is like the whole catch up week for me, catching up on Stranger Things, catching up on Obi-Wan, catching up on Miss Marvel. So, and there's another show that I just want to watch. We'll talk about that towards the end. But Joe, let's go ahead and get started. We're starting with part 4 because we ended with part 3 last week. Go ahead. If you want to jump all over all 3 parts, that's totally fine with me, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll probably be doing a little bit of bouncing around, but you know, we'll start with episode 4. And you know, episode 4 is like the first time that I've kind of felt like I could really tell how this maybe was supposed to have been a movie and not a series.
Yeah.
Because it's a short episode and they pack a lot into that, what it was like 35 minutes. So
it's just 39 minutes. So with the 10-minute end credits, you're probably looking about 30 minutes.
Yeah. And if, you know, last podcast, I was talking about how it was a little boring for me and like the story was kind of slow going, and they caught up in this episode. Like they don't waste time. So we left off episode 3 is like the first meeting between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader as we know him. And my gripe at the time was I was not happy, and I got a lot of crap for this, but I was not happy with Ewan McGregor's portrayal of Obi-Wan. And I'm not saying he's a terrible actor. He's an amazing actor. Me personally, in my mind, I pictured Obi-Wan being a little different, but that doesn't mean that this is like a bad version of him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, you know, the show starts off, we see like a broken down, you know, Obi-Wan, and he's just kind of going through a lot. But in episode 4, we start seeing him now coming into the Obi-Wan we know. He starts getting a little bit of his powers back. He's starting to get on his lightsaber skills back and stuff like that. And it starts off with, the episode starts off with like a flashback, right? If I'm not mistaken, of Obi-Wan and Anakin at the time training and showing how, Anakin is real, just like firehead and just wants to go full force.
Just
and we see how,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we continue to see how Obi-Wan is just the wiser one. And, he's trying to teach him like, dude, you're always going to lose if all you care about is just winning nonstop and going 100%. So it starts off with that whole, back and forth. Actually, no, it doesn't start off with that. I'm sorry. We see Obi-Wan waking up after the fight him and Darth had, and he's in his was that the back to tank.
You saw enough of those at Boba Fett, right?
Yeah, and so that's where it kind of starts. We see him, but it's kind of bouncing back and forth between him and Darth Vader, who's also in his tank because he has to constantly be healing himself from his fire. So it starts off right away. I'm like, okay, I'm interested now. Like I was bored before, and I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere now. So what did you think right off?
Man, the only thing I'm gonna harp on is Disney's really good on CGI, and they're very great on de-aging. And when I saw Anakin sitting there, and Hayden Christensen looked like a 42-year-old Hayden Christensen. I don't even know how old he is. When he was supposed to still be the young Padawan that we all know him as, and I was like, dude, couldn't they at least de-age him just a little bit? I mean,
a little bit around the jowls.
And I couldn't tell if he was wearing fake teeth or anything like that, but it was just like, and that's the only gripe I have in that last episode. But the start of the episode, and what I love about this, and Joe is right, the first 3 episodes, we were just like, what the hell, man? Why is Obi-Wan like this? And then as we get to episode 4, 5, and 6, we're starting to realize why he's like this. And in episode 4, for the whole thing to start, and Anakin is still in his mind, still trying to learn the things that Obi-Wan taught him. I don't know if he's still learning that, or if that's just a big memory for him, because he's the one that was remembering the little training scene, right? Because Obi-Wan, I don't know Obi-Wan was just trying to figure out like where did I go wrong? The whole episode he was just like, where did I go wrong? What happened? Right. Why did I do this? But man, that episode, the way it started, we were finally introduced to Roken, O'Shea Jackson Jr. I was a little disappointed with his character.
I was too.
But I did read that he's going to have a bigger role down the end. And Obi-Wan does say that in episode 6, where he says, you're a leader, you're going to be a leader. And so I'm assuming they're going to, there's all these little things they're going to do towards the end for another, whatever Disney Plus is going to try to cash on with Disney, with Star Wars. But I like this episode. I like the episode. I like the whole thing. Again, I can't stand the Leia character. I mean, she played her character great, but just the whole character part of her mannerism. I mean, God, if they do a spinoff or if they do, a show for her, and I'll be like, oh, God, no, please don't. But man, what did you think of that Fortress Inquisitus?
I thought it was pretty cool. I like how, they I forget the name of the planet that they're on, but
Mustafar.
What's that? Mustafar, right?
Yeah, Mustafar.
And they say for the dark side, they have to constantly be in this state of like pain and revenge and all this stuff. So I mean, they couldn't have picked a better place.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying about O'Shea Jackson's character. I heard somewhere that I guess this is a new character, for the Star Wars universe. So maybe, there's just kind of, we can expect a lot more to come from that. They're just maybe fleshing him out. But
yeah.
I kind of like him. It's just, he looks so much like his dad though.
Oh, he's just a little light skinned. And in this episode, I haven't seen him since what was he? Was in King Kong? He was in one of those movies.
Oh, was he?
He was in something, but I haven't seen him since then, and he's gained a little weight. So I don't know if that's for the role that he's in right now, or if he's just living off that my own money, Dad. This is my own money, Dad.
That's his story, and he's sticking to it. He's just like, it's for the role.
It's for the role. It's for the role.
But to your point about the Leia character or the actress that plays her, I can kind of see what you're getting at. She did have a really big part in this episode. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I'm a little confused. So, she was kidnapped by Darth Vader, and she's on the ship with him and Reva, right?
Reva. I think Reva's the one that kidnapped her. Darth Vader had nothing,
sorry.
Darth Vader had nothing to do with it, yeah.
Yeah, Reva kidnapped her, and she's trying to find, information out of her, and they have this whole back and forth scene, but I can't help but feel a little confused about Reva's storyline.
Yeah.
Right. Because like you had guessed properly, she was one of the young kids we see in the beginning that was, killed by the Order of the 66, but she survives. And so she wants revenge, for her friends and everyone. And she wants to basically kill Darth Vader. Where I'm lost is why she needs Obi-Wan, because at the point that we catch her in her story, she's already working for Darth Vader. Yeah. And in my opinion, would have had a bunch of opportunity to enact her revenge. Now, I know she says, she was pissed off at all the Jedi and the Jedi because they could have stopped him. And I know Anakin was Obi-Wan's Padawan or whatever, but I still feel like that was a bit of a stretch to have her being so obsessed over Obi-Wan, and she has Darth Vader right next to her, who's a real person she's after. So that, I don't know, that whole scene with her and Leia, the whole time I'm thinking, wait, why are we even doing this?
Yeah. I broke it down to this. I broke it down to where I think she was trying to please him, Darth Vader. Reva was trying to please Darth Vader so she can get that much closer to Darth Vader. So remember, Obi-Wan kept saying he's going to know. He's going to see it coming. So you want to surprise him. So in this episode, was it this episode? No, it was episode 5 is when they finally got to talk to each other. And Obi-Wan tells her, I'm bringing him to you. You're not bringing him to me. I'm bringing him to you. So I think Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan does tell her, you need me. We can do this together. You can't beat him alone. And Obi-Wan knows that. I mean, that last fight they had when they were in the little coal mine area, Obi-Wan saw how strong he is, right? I mean, it's like, shit, this guy's using the Force for everything. He's, like that one episode when he's going through the town, he didn't even take his lightsaber out till he saw Obi-Wan. Like everyone else, he's just using the Force and Force killing everyone. So I think Obi-Wan knew that, hey, if we work together, we can kill him. But Reva is so blinded on that hate, like I want to kill him because of what he did to me, that she didn't see where Obi-Wan's coming from till, she got betrayed, until she realized, shit. My whole thing was in this whole last 3 episode is what I don't understand is why did she even go after Luke? I mean, like in her story, in her head, she's like, I need to get revenge, and for what? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of this stuff just seems like it's put there so we can have, that scene with her and Obi-Wan that you were just talking about, where he's trying to convince her, and it's just too convenient. They could have had, and I heard this on a different review, but the guy made a good point, and I'm not going to shout him out because we don't. They don't give us money for this, but they made a good point where he said you could have had 2 separate series. You could have had a Kenobi series where it really was about Obi-Wan and his struggle and his fight with Darth and their thing, and then separately have this kind of whole revenge storyline for Reva, because like I said, for me it just was kind of it was almost distracting me from like the main storyline that I was more interested in. I guess that's what it is. I'm not all that interested in her character, and I don't see her importance in the story.
Well, ever since the first episode came out, there was a lot of backlash for her, right? A lot of fans, and I'm not gonna call them Star Wars fans, because us Star Wars fans, even the nerds and the geeks that I talked about in the last podcast, we don't judge on whatever your nationality is. We don't.
Right.
For them to bring an African American female to be one of the top female bad guys, to me was badass, and I brought this up last time. I think they did a lot of rewriting, because they probably were going to kill her off at one point. Maybe it was episode 5 when Darth Vader stabs her again, but I think they knew that a lot of, and this is all politics now, and I hate when politics mixes in with movies, but I think the writers and Disney didn't want to be like, hey, if we kill her off, then, all hell's going to break loose. Then it's like, why did we kill, the only African-American female, Jedi there that we know of so far? So they didn't. So they wrote her off. And I have a feeling with her as well, she's going to probably be with O'Shea Jackson in the upcoming, whatever Disney Plus and Star Wars decides to do. But yeah, her character to me she was just lost on what she wanted to do. I mean, I understood why she wanted the revenge of Darth Vader. But what gets me, and this is stretching the truth out a lot. What gets me is you join the Inquisitors because you either join them or you die. That's pretty much the concept, right? Why didn't you just find a way to be part of the Jedis, and then make another alliance, make another group where you're like, you know what? Fuck it. You killed me once. You're not going to kill me again, because we're going to be stronger than you. But she just took the easy way out. She decided, I'm going to be part of the Inquisitors.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what we were supposed to kind of just assume coming into this, that she was kind of this hardened, went to the dark side and kind of doesn't care about the Jedis or anyone else, but her revenge. And, I get it. I get why it's there, but I just felt like it wasn't needed. Yeah. But I mean, they gotta stretch it out. This could be something that was added when, originally this was supposed to be a movie. Yeah. And maybe they're like, shit, we need to add some more stuff to stretch this out for a series, because from what I hear is, after the Solo being, not so great in the movie theaters, and with COVID hitting, so they figured, hey, let's keep it safe. The series thing is working. Look at what Marvel's doing. Yeah. So let's go for it. So I mean, I get it. I did like, though, the scene. I found it funny where she actually tries to, kill Vader, because it was like such a you see how puny she is next to him. It wasn't even like a real fight for him. It was just kind of like, here we go. And he even says it there. I knew the whole time. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, what do you think? I'm Darth Vader. You know what I mean? So it's like, even that added to the whole thing of like, why did we need, I see why he needed her. He used her to get Obi-Wan to get to him. That makes all the sense, because, he has that's vendetta against him, but whatever. I don't know. I like the part where she has her kind of two-sided saber thing, and he takes it and breaks it in half, and then he's like John Wooing it. Like, that was pretty cool. That was sick. All the fighting scenes, I gotta say, for the most part in the last 3 series, I liked. I thought were really, really cool. What
I liked about the last 3 episodes, and this is where you were negative about the first 3 episodes, is you were like, which Obi-Wan is this, right? And 4, 5, and 6, we finally see that development of the Obi-Wan that, you remember, again, they said this was 10 years after. Mm-hmm. So for 10 years, he tried really hard not to be a Jedi. He was hiding his Jedi skills, trying to protect Luke. So within those 10 years, Darth Vader was training Inquisitors, doing everything he could to try to get revenge on Obi-Wan. So when he finally, in this episode 4, when he finally has to use the Force again, it was that before they get into the little hallway when the glass is about to break. To me, my favorite scene in episode 4 is when Leia's sitting there and she's shouting for help, and then there's those 2 stormtroopers on both sides, and the lights just turn black. and all you see was the light of his lightsabers killing these stormtroopers. I was like, oh shit! You know, this to me reminded me of old school Star Wars with better CGI.
Mm-hmm.
So the development of him from 4 to 6 to me was the growth of him finding his powers again, and he needed to find his powers. And I love how they transitioned from Darth Vader, the first 3 episodes, being that badass Jedi that no one can touch, but in episode 6, it was all revenge because he needed to realize, Darth Vader needed to realize, you know, Obi-Wan's still a master. He's still a master, and he still knows his shit. He has just been dormant for the past 10 years.
Yeah,
and
that. No, good.
No. No, to me that was cool. The whole development part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The way, and like I said, that's where it is a pretty quick jump from episode 3 to 4 as far as his development. And I love how in these last 3 episodes, they're showing you the relationship between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Yeah. They're kind of constantly going back and forth, showing what each one of them's going through, showing their perspective from their relationship in the past to where they are now. And just to see, you know, Obi-Wan starting to become that badass Jedi that we know him to be is pretty cool. Because that scene where he's holding the water from coming into the ship, where the water, you know, it's cracking, the windows are cracking, and then it's all coming in, and he's starting to get his power back. You're like, yes, like, you know, this is it. He's starting to get to
feeling it again. Yeah.
That was cool.
And in episode 5, when they're trying to get away from the planet, and Tala's passed away. Spoiler alert again, and we're like way into it already for you guys to be listening without spoilers. But Tala passes away, and Obi-Wan's like, I don't want anyone else to die, so let me just give myself up, right? But before that scene, when they're trying to hold that fort, when Reva breaks into that little, you know, the little hangar gate, and Obi-Wan force pushes her away, that's when I was like, oh shit, it's coming back.
Yeah,
he's finding it again, and that's when Reva realized, oh shit, this is Obi-Wan. You know, this is a master. So that right there, when I saw that episode, there was not a lot of, you know, there wasn't any really lightsaber scenes there besides Reva and Darth Vader. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, I know he's finding his spirit again, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wish there was more fighting scenes, because out of and I should just go back and say, so far out of, and I'm going out on a limb here, but so far out of all of Star Wars projects, aside from the original 3 episodes, episode 4, 5, and 6, this is probably my favorite Star Wars project.
Oh, okay.
Outside of those episodes. And I really would, even with me not being crazy about Ewan McGregor. So like,
hello there.
I really did like the fighting scenes that we got in it, because that scene right there, the way like they're just going at it, and then he just like pushes her, you know, and she falls back. It has that comic book look, you know, that I thought was awesome. And then when the ship is trying to escape, and Darth Vader uses the Force to stop it, that the look of it looked like just a page out of a comic book. That just one scene where you see his hands up and he's stopping it and he's like fucking ripping it apart, and I'm like, that's fucking, like, that's what I love about Star Wars.
Well, you know, it's funny, you know where they get that from, and you know, Rey does this in the last, whatever that last episode was, Rise of Skywalker. Remember when she's trying to, you know, they think Chewie's on the ship and she's trying to do that. But where they got this scene from, and a lot of people, Disney fans would know, if you wrote Star Tours on Disneyland, there's this scene where you go in a hangar, Darth Vader and a bunch of stormtroopers is there. And then, you know, whoever the driver is, C-3PO, I forget if he's the driver, he's like, okay, we need to get out of here. And you're trying to back up, and all of a sudden you see Darth Vader using his hands, and he's force stopping you, and you're just sitting in the car like, oh, shit. Oh.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's where they got it from.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Because they had to add the ride, and, you know, I was looking for that a lot. I was looking for rides versus, you know, movie facts. But, man, that scene right there, like, half of the world were like, oh shit, this is going to be a freaking battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and we're gonna see who wins. But yeah, that to me that was a cool little thing that they did, and Obi-Wan's probably the one that thought of that. Like, hey, let's get a decoy ship, let's let that fly out, and then once he's too busy with that, we'll take off because he can't use us. He's not that strong to where he can use his powers again. Yeah,
exactly. But you do see how really strong he is. Like when I saw that scene, it reminded me of how powerful Darth Vader is. And you think to yourself, like, fuck, man, this is going to be rough for Obi-Wan. I mean, obviously we know what happens because this falls in the middle of the whole Star Wars universe, but just to see that display of his power, and when he's like just ripping it apart and he's pissed off, I'm like, yes,
that's
like,
all that's anger.
Darth
I mean,
Vader.
that's a lot of people ask me, why do you like the dark side more than I like the Jedis? Don't get me wrong, I love the Jedis. I wish I had Jedi powers, but when you get a Sith angry, they can do so much. That's why I didn't really like Kylo Ren in these new episodes, because he was trying so hard to be like his dad or his grandfather that he couldn't really channel that anger. With Darth Vader, we saw in this episode when he was ripping that ship apart, and he was doing it with one hand. He was, just, and every, little panel was coming off. Yeah, we were like, oh, damn. Yeah. I'm sorry for these refugees. They're about to die, Yeah.
And I think that goes, that kind of goes back to why they gave Hayden Christensen such a bad time after his version of Anakin or Darth Vader, is because when we first are introduced to Darth Vader, he's already Darth Vader. Yeah. Right. Back in the days, those first movies, he's already this evil, just angry, engulfed, like individual, top bad guy ever, and so that bar was set so high that, I mean, it kind of wasn't fair for the guy, honestly. I mean, I don't remember seeing him in anything before that. I don't know if that was his first role. I'm assuming it's his big role. That's a lot of pressure to put on a newbie with a character like that, and for better or for worse, he's stuck with it now. And this wasn't so bad, honestly. I mean, even though he was like obviously my age now, and how old is back problems, but that was a little weird. I was thinking that too, because they did such a good job with Luke Skywalker with CGI and bringing him back and making him look realistic and all the deep fake stuff. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, were they running out of budget? Did they just do a makeup job and just said, you know what?
Let's just keep him the way he is, and let's hope nobody realizes it.
Yeah, it was like they used a Instagram filter and it was like, that's good enough. Yeah, he looks pretty young.
He's 41 years old. So for him to be 41, I mean, he looked 41.
He looked 41. Yeah,
that's the thing that's sad. I mean, this is supposed to be right before he met Queen Amidala. So this is that if we were looking at storyline, this is supposed to be right there. So if you go back to, I don't even remember what that episode was. It was episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It was Attack of the Clones. So if we go back to that and you see how young he was, I mean, everybody was giving Natalie Portman a hard time because they were like, hey, dude, you're rocking the cradle, because this is like a teenage boy. And she was like in her mid-20s. Yeah. So now it's like, oh, God, now it's kind of switched, because you see Natalie Portman in Thor and Love and Thunder. She looks like a lot younger than Hayden Christensen does.
Yeah. No, but, totally.
This whole episode, this whole series, all I kept wondering was, how are they going to tie this in to A New Hope? Because we all know what happens in New Hope. We know Obi-Wan dies. We know the Owens, the Lars dies. We know that. We all know they're going to die. So my whole thing is, how are they going to tie this in? And the whole fact that Leia just spent 72 hours with Obi-Wan Kenobi, or in her, it's Ben Kenobi, right? Because she doesn't really know him as Obi-Wan. How are they going to tie this in to where, she tells R2-D2, like, years ago you helped my father during the rebellion. I mean, I guess they never really saw each other in A New Hope, right? They never made eye-to-eye contact, because when Luke Skywalker saves her and says, "I'm here with Ben Kenobi. We're here to save you." She's like, "Ben Kenobi, Ben Kenobi!" Like she was excited to hear who he was, but they never really did see each other. And in episode 6 in this one, when she says, "Am I ever going to see you again?" You know, he was like, "Yes, you will." But in our heads, we're like, "No, you won't." Because you guys don't really, you cross path, but you never really did see each other. So there was those little subtle things that I was like, okay, how are they going to do this? How are they going to tie this in?
And I think that, and I know I do this a lot. We do this a lot. We always compare Star Wars and Marvel, and it's not like they're really necessarily anything the same, but they're both owned by Disney, and you know, Disney kind of runs how these things are put out. And you know, I feel like the Star Wars universe, it has no continuity sometimes. You know, like they'll do, okay, these 3 episodes, and we'll do these 3 episodes, but this is before this, and we're gonna do this movie, and it's between this episode, and when you start doing that, which they've done a lot, and they've done, I mean, up until now, for those diehard fans, and I've seen videos and I've read things, like there are so many plot holes and there's so many things that they can pick at, and they're like, wait a minute, well, you can't say this because here you said that, like you just said, you know, you broke how they don't see each other again in those new movies. So that's probably my only real gripe with Star Wars, is that I've always felt it hard to follow the overall storyline. Like each movie I have to take for itself and what it is. And I know the relationship with characters in some of the other movies, but sometimes I'm lost. I'll be honest, like Rogue One and all those, those are just kind of separate movies to me.
Yeah. Well, you know, you hit it. You said this same exact thing the last time we did this, was there's so many stories in Star Wars, and I said that a lot of this is just, it's business, it's money. You know, it's like, did we need Rogue One? No, we didn't need one. But to finally see what they had to do to get the plans, it was kind of badass. You know, I mean, the best part of that movie in Rogue One was that last scene when Darth Vader boards the ship and he kills all those people trying to get the plans back. Did we need it? You know, Star Wars fans is like, yes, we need it. You know, we needed it. To me, guessing how they got the plans was good enough for me. You know, but again, it's business, it's money. You know, Star Wars is like, hey, let's find a way to make more money. And even with a movie like Solo, we didn't need Solo. We didn't need to, you know, the only thing that I liked in Solo was how he got his ship, how he got the Millennium Falcon, how he met Chewie. Those were the cool parts of the movie. And maybe even how him and Lando are friends. But did we need it? I could have done without it. You know, I could have done without it. And I get it. There's a lot of movies in Star Wars. I mean, even now with the season 2 of Bad Batch coming out, that animation it's going to be on Disney Plus. It's like, do we need that? I mean, it's like they're finally bringing in live action characters that was from animation. Ahsoka Tano is one of them that they're finally bringing in. You know, why is Disney still doing like the Bad Batch? You know, that's another animation. I mean, it's like, if you guys want to get away from that, cross it over to the live action, and I think you'll get more followers with live action. I mean, I'm glad Mandalorian was a live action and not an animation.
Same.
You know, but with these episodes that came out, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, episode 6 to me, and you know, this is one question that I have for you. That lightsaber scene between between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, to me right now is probably my favorite lightsaber scene. You know,
you're talking about the final one in episode 6.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to ask you about that because I same here. It was probably my favorite part of the whole series. No, it's no problems. It was my favorite part of the whole series. And I know some people were kind of upset that it even happened because, you know, they meet each other later on in, I forget, Return of the Jedi maybe, or whatever it is. But I loved it. Yeah. I mean, you get Obi-Wan trying to, you know, get Darth Vader's attention away from, you know, the rest of the ship, and he goes down into this planet and he knows he's going to follow him, and he does. So now it's just them two, and the scene looks sick. It looks like what's this dude with the Infinity Stones?
What's his name? Thanos.
Thanos. It looks like where Thanos hangs out.
Yeah.
And you get this. It's cool because now you're seeing Obi-Wan he's got his power back.
Yeah.
And he's putting in this work, but you still know Darth Vader's more powerful than him, but Obi-Wan's wiser. So
yeah,
we know he has the upper hand in that aspect. But that one scene, and I know you're probably going to bring it up, and where he hits him with the saber and he cracks open his helmet, and you see Darth Vader, who's now Hayden Christensen. You see his face, and his voice box is broken.
Yeah,
that scene, like I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I'll be honest with you, because you hear his voice, and both his voice and James Earl Jones, Darth Vader's voice at the same time with this broken box machine, and he's talking, and the breathing is gone now. He's wheezing because that's all screwed up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And that one part with Ewan McGregor, like both of those guys, for any bad acting that anybody has said any of them have done, I think that one scene proved themselves to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
No, I mean, what I loved about this scene, the one thing I hated about this scene, and I kind of wish they redid it, is they kept bouncing back between Reva and the lightsaber scene. I hated that.
Yeah.
Because you're at the edge of your seat, you're like, and then you see Reva. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping somebody on YouTube just edits that whole thing and makes it one fight scene. So we were just watching the whole fight scene. But man, I love the transformation in this one fight. Darth Vader is saying that, I'm the master. One thing I wish they added was when Darth Vader cracked the ground open and Obi-Wan falls in there, and then Darth Vader's looking at him. I really wished, and a lot of Star Wars fans are going to agree with me on this, I really wish Darth Vader says, now I have the high ground. Because that's what Ewan McGregor says in Revenge of the Sith, where he says, Annie, I have the high ground, you can't win. Yeah. So I kind of wish he said that to throw an homage back to that episode. But when I caught this when I rewatched it, but when I first watched it, I didn't realize that Obi-Wan puts his hands up like this. And I thought he put his hands up to stop the rock from falling, from hitting his face, but I didn't realize he put his hands up because he's using the force to not let that rock hit him. And when you start hearing the voices, and he heard Anakin's voice, he heard Darth Vader's voice, that kind of brought me back to like all the Jedis that was like, I need to find myself. And then he stopped and he thought of Leia, and he thought of Luke, and he thought of the reason why he's still there is to protect these kids. And he knew that if he died, he wouldn't be able to protect them. And that just made the badass that we waited 6 episodes for to finally come out. And my favorite scene in this whole thing, I like your scene too, when he cuts his head off, when cuts parts of his thing, is when he just stood there and he said, I'm bigger than you and I'm better than you. And all the fucking rocks behind him just starts elevating. And I'm just like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever had a Star Wars orgasmic episode, this was it, because you just saw the baddest Jedi out there do what Darth Vader thinks he's better than Obi-Wan does. And the fact that he was just throwing those rocks by one,
fucking nailing them. It was great.
And then Darth Vader was just like in this almost like a fetal position because he couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And then and then the scene where he's just like killing his voice box, he's killing all his and that scene where he chops his heads off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm like, I need a cigarette.
Yeah. And like, seriously, they could have honestly just made that most of the movie. You know what I mean? They could have just did about 45 minutes leading up to that, and I would have been happy to be the whole series.
I mean, Jesus.
But
yeah,
absolutely. Like, that is, when you think about a fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, I mean, I gotta say, I think they nailed it, just because it has everything. You see both of their power, and the part that was amazing to me is when Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, is sitting there and he's crying because he feels so guilty that Anakin's become Darth Vader, and he's just like, I'm sorry, like I let you down, and it's just gut wrenching.
Yeah.
And then Darth looks at him and says, "You didn't kill Anakin, I did."
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
And you know what I love about that? What I love about that, again, I want to know how this all ties into the New Hope and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And when that line came out, you didn't, kill Anakin, Darth, I did, I killed Anakin. Remember I don't know if it's Return of the Jedi or whatever it was, when Luke is talking to Obi-Wan's Force Ghost, and he said, is Darth Vader my father? And he goes, yes. And he goes, Darth was so extreme with health, or Anakin was so into this whole dark side that he killed Anakin Skywalker and became Darth Vader. I was like, oh, they finally tie this in.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when he walks away, he doesn't call him Anakin anymore. He goes,
right,
okay, Darth. Because in A New Hope, that when they finally face each other, he says, Darth. I was like, oh, God, they're tying all this shit in. And then that first line when he says, when we last met, I was whatever he said, he goes, I was the Padawan or something, and now I'm the master. Right, and I'm thinking that's where, Darth Vader decides, like, fuck this, I'm going to be better than you, and I'm going to kill you the next time I see you.
Yeah.
So, that part right there where they tied all that in, I was like, oh, okay, they tie this in. This is going to work. The only thing they didn't tie in, again, was the whole Leia scene, but, maybe we'll get a backstory to that somehow.
Well, I'm hearing rumors that there is going to be a second season.
Yes.
Which is a little depressing, considering how this just ended. Where else do you go as far as Ben? And, how much farther do you get before we get to the New Hope?
Yeah.
How much more stuff can you add without it not making sense for the New Hope? Because they'll be like, well, why didn't this come up? Why didn't this event come up or that event? I think they're going to concentrate more on Reva's character, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I hope they just use it as, an opportunity to maybe kind of veer off from the regular timeline of Star Wars and do some other stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of how we're used to with Marvel doing. I wouldn't mind something like that, but I feel like you did what you did with this. It started off rough. In my opinion, ended really great. I don't think you need to mess with it anymore. Yeah. in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just,
from what I know and from what I heard, I totally understand. I totally get what you mean. Like, you can't mess up the timeline anymore. You can't add any more things to New Hope because we already know what happens in A New Hope. But from what I read with season 2, and if you follow the comics and you follow anything like that with Star Wars, and especially Obi-Wan, he's on this journey, and at the end of the movie, he finally meets Qui-Gon, and we haven't seen him throughout all episode, and he finally meets Qui-Gon. So I think what's going to end up happening, and in the comic book, there's a couple of instances where he meets Black Cassandran because Darth Vader says, hey, send me 2 bounty hunters and find out where Reva's going. And, they find him in Tatooine. And then, Obi-Wan has to go back to the Lars farm and fights Black Cassandran. And, Black Cassandran loses so bad that he ends up leaving Tatooine because he feels stupid. Now he's not a bounty hunter anymore. Also, there's going to be that one where he fights Darth Maul in Tatooine. So there's a lot of room that they can do without them messing with the New Hope. And I'm hoping they do that. I mean, I hope they didn't build up this Obi-Wan from 1 to 6 and he finally gets his powers back and he's finally like, I'm going to, be the Jedi that I am and I'm going to stop hiding. And I'm hoping at some point he maybe meets Yoda, because Yoda's still alive, right? Yoda's still in Dagobah, still chilling in his little hut somewhere. So I'm hoping he sees Yoda again. I'm hoping that they do this whole comic book. Just go check out the comic books or Google the Obi-Wan comic books, and there's a lot of stuff they can do from the comics. And like you said earlier, I hate having to compare Marvel to Star Wars, but Marvel right now is taking a lot from the comic books and making it into live action. They're taking maybe a little piece here and there and they're tweaking it to where we enjoy the movie. Like just even like this last Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel is completely taking everything from the comic books and they're making it into live action. So there's no way for them to mess up because they're going off a script. If they go off Obi-Wan's comic book story, his little journey around Tatooine, man, I think this could be another Mandalorian where right now, and I said this before and I'll say it again, Mandalorian is the best episodes for Star Wars right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And just to add on to your point, you know, that's why we bring up Marvel so much and compare it to this, because it's just done so well.
Yeah.
And, you know, Star Wars, the whole empire of, not to, you know, no pun intended, it's great. It's like, you know, holds a place in our hearts. So we want to see it do well. I don't go into this hoping that it sucks. Like I want to see these movies and these series and, you know, and enjoy them. So that's the only reason why we're constantly comparing the two, and because they're also on the same platform. So it's kind of hard not to. One thing I was surprised to find out, when we were talking about that whole scene where, you know, his voice box is broken, you hear his voice and you hear James Earl Jones' voice. It wasn't actually James Earl Jones's voice.
Oh, wow.
That was all done with computers.
Okay.
Yeah, James Earl Jones said, I mean, I think he's like 91 years old right now. He's like, I didn't say any of that. He never went into any studio to record anything. That was all done with the same technology that they use for Luke's voice. Okay. I mean, obviously, you know, James Earl Jones still gets something from it and they still need permission because they are
his voice,
doing his voice. But it's amazing to me that they can match his voice perfectly from nothing. It wasn't even, they didn't even use old recordings except to compare, you know. So like I thought that like was sick, and they could do that, but they can't make, you know, Hayden Christensen look and years younger.
God. When I saw that scene, and I kind of did one of those, like when you think you see a pretty girl and then she finally turns around and you're like, ugh, you know, I hate saying it that way, or when you see it, you know, anyways, when they showed that scene and they started off with his back, and you know it's him because he has that little Padawan tail in the back. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, damn it, they finally show us Hayden Christensen, because you remember they don't really show us Hayden Christensen yet, right? And then when he turns around, I was like, oh, dude, what happened? And then here you see Obi-Wan, and he looks like the Obi-Wan that we saw in the past with the, you know, the hair, and like Obi-Wan doesn't look any different. Maybe he looks a little bit older, but I'm just like, dude, come on, man.
Maybe they use all the budget for Ewan McGregor to make him look young, and they're just like, all right, we're just gonna have to use regular makeup for this guy, because
they're like, look, motherfuckers, you know how much we had to spend on James Earl Jones's damn voice for this episode?
Seriously.
That man asked for 100%, so we have to make Hayden just try to look as young as you can. Make him look really young. Yeah, but that was, to me, there was a lot of disappointing things in these past 6 episodes, and that's definitely one of them. You know, it's just like, come on, you know, we saw Boba Fett where they took Luke and that guy who did deep fake. I want this deep fake guy to do something, you know, with this that episode, just to show Disney, like, hey man, why didn't you use this guy? You know, I bet you if they used him, he probably wouldn't even ask for that much money. You know, it's like, hey, just give me props, shout out to my YouTube channel, you know.
Is that the Tom Cruise guy? Yeah. Have you seen him?
Yeah.
That does the Tom Cruise.
He does all the deep fakes,
really good.
He did the whole Iron Man with Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah. That guy's, and he supposedly he works for Disney now. You know?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, well, he's the one that did the Luke Skywalker in Boba Fett / Mandalorian episode.
Right.
So he did that. So
interesting.
He shouted out in Boba Fett. Oh no, in Mandalorian when they brought in that Luke at that season finale when you know Luke finally kills all those Darth whatever.
Yeah.
He said, I can do better than that. And he did. He showed us on YouTube, and then Disney's like, fuck, hire this guy.
Yeah.
So they did.
Awesome. See, that's great though. I love seeing things like that when they're like, you know, they have their ear to the social media streets. Yeah. And they, you know, pick up on, because there's a lot of talented people out there who, you know, could do really good for some of these movies that we love.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think? And I just kind of thought about it when we were talking before. I think it's episode 5, where they're on the ship and where Obi-Wan sees all the Jedis that are like.
That's episode 4.
That's episode 4. Okay,
yeah.
Now, are they dead? Or are they like frozen? Or what's the deal with them?
It's funny. I honestly don't know. That's my answer. And I was hoping, and this is me just hoping as a Disney and a Star Wars fan, I was hoping Obi-Wan realized that they were still alive, released them all, and then all of a sudden you have all these damn Jedis on the Fortress Inquisitus. Yeah. But he just looked at him and all. So I'm assuming that was a tomb. And he even did say, now I know what they're hiding down here. It's a tomb. So maybe it's the Inquisitor's trophy room. Remember the Inquisitors were the ones that were hunting the Jedi. And I'm pretty sure they were just like, for every Jedi they catch, that's their little trophy room. And what I'm glad I didn't see there, I'm glad we didn't see Mace Windu, because I'm still waiting for that guy to jump out. I'm hoping if they did do a Reva story or a backstory or any story that we do see Mace Windu somewhere. I don't care if he's old, depleted, bionic arm. I'm just hoping we see that. But man, this episode right here, this series to me just, it closed the loop on the whole, 10 years after like all the questions were answered. If you go back to episode 6 and if you watch that lightsaber scene, just the lightsaber scene alone with when Obi-Wan finally finds himself, just the lightsaber skills he has on there. I mean, like he's dropping the lightsaber from one hand to another hand. And then I'm just like, oh, dude, this guy. I mean, there's a reason why he's the baddest Jedi out there. And in this episode, and it wasn't even animation, it was live action. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah. That's one of those scenes. Like after we finish here, I think I'm probably actually going to go back just to watch it again. Yeah. Just that scene, just because it was just that good. Yeah. And I want to look, see if there's anything that, I can pick up on that I might have missed, and we're talking about them maybe continuing like the storyline and all that. The Grand Inquisitor, he's a badass character, and I kind of wanted to see more of him. I'm glad they brought him back because he doesn't die until one of the animated series. Yeah. So I was kind of hoping they didn't mess that up, and they didn't. They didn't. But yeah. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing him having a sort of vendetta against Reva on her own storyline, because I feel like he would be another cool, villain to watch.
Yeah, I mean that would. I mean, what killed me about that episode, or this last episode 6, is when you saw Darth Vader standing on the ship, and he was like, "Go after him." The Grand Inquisitor standing right next to him. To us, the Grand Inquisitor is already this big ass dude, but the way Darth Vader just towers over him.
Seriously, you're just like, how tall is the guy that's in the Darth Vader suit?
I don't know, but Darth Vader looks like he's at least 7 foot tall, right?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. That scene where he's choking out Reva, and they show like just like a side view of him and her, and I'm like, geez, he's huge. And because it is a different actor. Whenever we see Darth Vader without the helmet, that's Hayden Christensen. Yeah. But when it's just Darth Vader in the outfit, it's another actor. And this guy is like, he could easily be the guy that played Chewbacca because he's so damn big.
That guy's hella old.
Yeah.
Let me see if I'm trying to look at the IMDb. Let me see if they say his name. Yeah, no, they're not. They're not even giving this guy. I'm sure we'll find it somewhere. Like,
but probably like the show credits.
Yeah, but they're not giving that guy homage right now for like being the stunt double. If we Google stunt double, I'm pretty sure we'll find him. But what I said last time, moving forward, I'm hoping Disney Plus gives us more than 6 episodes. And I'm looking at a website right now, and it's all the new episodes coming out for Star Wars on Disney Plus. And maybe they listened, because the next episode's coming out sometime this summer. It's called Star Wars Andor, and it's going to go Diego Luna's character, Cassian Andor. And again, with you annoyed with his backstory, this is going to go back before even Rogue One started, because he dies in Rogue One.
You're right.
So this is going to go back, but they're giving us 12 episodes on this one. And I would rather had 12 episodes on Obi-Wan than this one. But I'm hoping with the 12 episodes, it's cool. We'll see. Season 2 of Bad Batch.
I'm always going to give it a chance, though.
Yeah, I mean, I always will. Right. I mean, I can't wait for that. I'm looking at, let's see what else. The Mandalorian season 3 is going to come out December or January 2023. We'll see. It's not giving me a count on that. I'm hoping that gives us at least 12 episodes as well. Yeah, I don't know. And then Ahsoka Tano comes out. It's supposed to come out this year, but it looks like it's not going to come out till next year. And then all these other things that I don't know about. Star Wars Acolyte. It's going to be on Disney Plus. That's going to be that's going to have 8 episodes. Lando supposedly coming out, and it's going to be played by Donald Glover. So that's it so far that I'm interested in. So
okay,
I mean, what can we get from Lando? Just him gambling and messing with all the females?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I mean, I'm interested. I'm going to give all those a chance. Like I said, this one started out slow. I wasn't happy with it, and it finished strong. And I went from being meh to liking it. Really liking the last part of the last episode. So they have me. They got me.
You got you hooked.
They got me back just enough. I'm not gone yet, and I'll see what else they have in store. But I would ultimately like to do at some point, like I did with Marvel Universe, is watch everything in chronological order of the story, and kind of see how it flows. Because if you do that with the Marvel movies and the series, as at least for me, I understood everything a lot better. It really makes sense, and it was almost like it was made to go back and do that. So I'm wondering if I'll have that same effect with the Star Wars movies. I feel at some point they're gonna use, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years down the line, some sort of like new technology to kind of put maybe like a wash over all the movies to make them look at least visually somewhat the same. But I would like to at some point sit down and watch all of them and see how it feels. Every
now and then TBS or TNT does that. They'll start off with episode 1, the whole storyline of Anakin and all that. Then in the middle they'll do Rogue One, because Rogue One is that story between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. Then they go, and it's funny because Rogue One ends right where New Hope begins. So if you watch those two together, it's badass. It's definitely badass. And then you go all the way to New Hope, to The Last Skywalker. I mean, that's a long stuff to watch, but it
is. I mean, it took me some while to do the Marvel one, so I'm down for it. But I think I might wait for the next kind of group of series to come out and watch those first, and then get an idea of where they're going with their movies.
Yeah. So. Well, I read Favreau is in charge of the next movies that is coming out. So
really?
If Jon Favreau is in charge of that, then we have hope for at least another trilogy that's going to be better than. The last trilogy wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, and they got J.J. Abrams to do it, and J.J. Abrams, he did justice for it. It was better. It was definitely better than the prequels. But what can Jon Favreau? Jon Favreau gave us Boba Fett. I mean, not Boba Fett. Gave us fan. Mandalorian. So
and he gave us Iron Man.
Iron Man. Yeah. So for him to sit down and say, I'm taking over the new Star Wars trilogy and we're going to figure out what we're going to do. Where are they going to go with this? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Luke has a child somewhere, Let me ask you this. Do you think Star Wars can survive without a Skywalker involved, without the Skywalker name?
That's a toughie. I'm going to say it's possible.
Yeah.
And I only say that because, and again, I know it sounds like a broken record. I wouldn't have thought that Marvel would have survived without Iron Man, Captain America, and all the main characters. But we see that they are. We see that they're thriving. It just needs some good writing and some good movie or TV making. And I think with someone like Jon Favreau behind the scenes, you got a pretty good shot at doing that. So I think Star Wars could easily, survive and thrive with some new stuff, new characters, not having the Skywalker name in it. I mean, I think there may always be a reference to it.
Yeah.
You know, they may drop the name here or there, but as far as like a character or even a storyline being driven towards those characters, I think they could survive. And that's has been kind of part of my beef with Star Wars, because watching the movies, you always get this feeling of there's so much more to this universe. You always feel out of the loop. They always, like I said, my gripe is most of the movies start right in the middle of a battle and you have to read what, the recap before the movie starts. So it's like, there's obviously a lot of shit going on in this galaxy, and there's all these planets, and there's all these, arcs and storylines. So I think with some good writing, they could easily come up with some cool new characters.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is possible. That's why I don't understand why at the end of The Last Skywalker, Rey goes, "I'm a Skywalker." It made people wonder, are you going to continue this with the Skywalker name, or did you just not want to be a Palpatine? What's going on? But I think it can survive. I think it can definitely go somewhere. And what I hate about what Disney's doing right now with Star Wars, and this is exactly what your gripe is, I just mentioned they're going to do that Andor. So we're going back again. Mm-hmm. We're going back. So this, I'm assuming Andor happened sometime after Revenge of the Sith and before New Hope. So we might see Darth Vader in there. We might, a young Darth Vader. I mean, that's the only way. If you're giving us 12 episodes, I only think it can survive with Darth Vader in it. I only think it can. And then they're going to go to Mandalorian, and that takes place 10 years after Return of the Jedi. So we're in this loop. So it's like, all right, I kind of wish they just all meshed one thing and then start fresh with something new.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's Star Wars and that's Disney, and we'll see.
That's what we're stuck with.
Yeah, but overall, I like this episodes. I like the 6 of them. I love, the visual effects, the cinematography, especially in episode 6, where they gave us this forest kind of like, dead forest kind of like scene, and all you see is blue and red lightsabers in the background, and I loved how they did that. And I loved how whenever Obi-Wan was holding his lightsaber next to his face, it was glowing in his face. I'm like, oh god, this is, little things like that. I was like, wow. I love this. I mean, to me, this is a cool way of them paying respect to Obi-Wan, and I can't wait to see what they do. I hope they don't drop the ball if they do come out with a season 2. I hope they don't be like, fuck, this is a Boba Fett all over again to us.
I rather they didn't, but we'll see what they do with it. And same here, I enjoyed it. I think they tied a lot of stuff together. There were some loose ends, but nothing like, that's going to keep you up at night. Stuff you can kind of live with, I guess. And actually, I take back what I said. I think I do like Mandalorian more than this, but either way, it still is a pretty good series, and it fits well. And I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll enjoy it. It's worth the watch, in my opinion.
Someone said that Mandalorian and this kind of has the same similarities because it's a child. The Mandalorian, there was Grogu, and this one there's Leia. I saw this tweet about O'Shea Jackson when they first introduced him. They said the baddest character on this is Roken, O'Shea Jackson. And the reason why is because this guy tweets, he's a motherfucking black dude in space that doesn't have any Jedi skills, but is an engineer. How many black guys do you know can be an engineer in space?
It's true.
And I was like, damn, you're right, man. You're right. That's,
actually consider there's only like 2 black people in this whole series.
They said the last time we saw a black guy that had no Jedi skills was that dude running away with that little ice cream machine in Empire Strikes Back.
So messed up.
I was like, oh man, that is mean. But I liked it. I can't wait to see where this goes, and I really hope they give us more than 6 episodes. I mean, I honestly, if someone at Disney reaches out to me and tells me why you guys are just doing 6 episodes and not 10 or even 8, please let me know. I mean,
my theory for this is that it was probably for a 3-hour movie that they just stretched into a 6-episode series.
Yeah.
But maybe if it's meant to be a series, we'll get, like you said, 12 episodes or some,
I mean, hell,
something.
Netflix is giving us at least 7 episodes, just.
I know.
Just imagine what one more episode could have done to this storyline. One more episode could have stretched out the little story a little more. Like that last 5 minutes of Obi-Wan, I thought was they just like sped up. They moved too fast. Like all of a sudden he's seeing Leia, then now he's seeing Luke Skywalker, and then all of a sudden he's off to the desert. It's like that whole part where you were saying where at the fight with him in that last fight scene where they're bouncing back between that and Reva's fight with Owen, those could have been 2 separate episodes. They could have, that last episode, that fight with Reva and her whole story with Luke and all that could have been the last episode. That's how they could have ended it, setting it up maybe for another season. But again, that's probably one of the cons I have of it. It's just, it was kind of mashed together and that's definitely something I wish they did something different. But overall, it was cool. I liked it. I can't wait to see where this goes, and I can't wait to see. I'm kind of glad it's over because it was kind of weird because Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel was coming out at the same time, and it's the first time Disney Plus has ever done that, where they had one series and then another series, and I think they did that because they were like, okay, maybe if we get rid of Miss Marvel now. Oh, we start Miss Marvel now, it'll overlap with Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan's ending. I don't even know how many episodes are there in Miss Marvel. We'll see moving forward how there is. But to me, it's good. I can't wait.
Yeah. A lot of stuff coming out on Disney soon.
Yeah. Disney Plus, man, it's going to be crazy moving forward. I'm caught up with Stranger Things. I'm caught up with Ms. Marvel. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out soon. So I can't wait.
Yeah, me neither. And we'll be potting about it. So you guys just wait.
We will be talking about it. Man, this has been fun. And for you guys who out there who's always like, man, you guys didn't talk anything about the movie. Yes, we did. We didn't break down the movie. If you guys want to do that, go on YouTube, go look for, your hidden Easter egg kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We don't break down movies like that.
No,
we talk about our favorite scene. Yeah, we talk about our favorite scenes. We talk about the movies. But I enjoy doing it. So, and I know Joy enjoys doing it. So, but again, if you guys want to watch other guys, go to them. But if you want to talk to 2 Ordinary Joes, you can watch our episode.
Yep, that's us.
You like that better. Trust me. All right, guys, this has been fun. Definitely watch us on YouTube. We're available on YouTube. We're available on all podcast platforms. Follow us on Instagram, The Ordinary Joes Podcast on Instagram, and email us, theordinaryjoespodcast@gmail.com. Please don't send us spam because I'm texting Joe in the middle of the night. Hey, is this you? Did you order this? I'm getting this from the Ordinary Joe's email. Did you order this? So don't send us spam. Please. If you do send us spam, make sure it's wrapped around rice and seaweed, and I like mine with the teriyaki sauce. So.
Oh man, that was good. Damn it! I'm on a diet, man. I'm going on vacation.
You can have a little subi. Come on, man.
Just a spam, maybe.
All right, guys. Until next time. Thank you guys for watching. We are the Ordinary Joes.
Peace.
See ya.
You're listening to the Ordinary Joes Podcast.